run them likes up. I need about 10,000 likes on this video. Alright, this part 2 of it. You know what I'm saying? Part 2 of it. Last one was posted. Y'all seen it. Let's get into it. I don't really got much to say, buddy.
A better understanding of how events unfolded, causing Wick City to become O Block and STL EBT to become Tookaville. As I mentioned at the start of this video, the true origins of this beef are pretty hard to trace. It would seem pretty unrealistic to try and trace things back to their exact origins in the schoolyard scraps between the BD and GD members from each of these blocks. But we certainly can trace the true bloodshed between these groups back to one pivotal moment, and that's the killing of Edric Tyshon Walker, also known as Ty, a BD who was gunned down in May 2009 being just 17 years old. Ty was shot multiple times just before 10 PM on the 6500 block of South Evans Avenue, with 3 suspects from EBT being charged with his murder. Now, Ty was actually closer aligned with another BD set called 065 Young Money, but following his death, local friends of his formed the group TYMB, or Ty You're My Brother. This was to both keep his memory alive and also a pledge to a move that would become...
See, I ain't know that. See, I just learned that. Remember, I was like, why is such and such saying TYB whatever he said, right? It was in a Wooski video. It was a Wooski video. BON.
A little bit of a trend as this beef continues. Anywho, the loss of Ty was only the beginning of bloodshed in the area, mainly caused by STL EBT members. And it would actually be the next killing after Ty that would be a direct escalation of war between STL EBT and Wick City. In this case, the person in question was Rizi, or Ra Ra, an older OG member of Wick City who was gunned down in August 2010.
Damn.
Rizi, aka Ra Ra, real name Laverick Marshall, was an older OG member of Wick City. And on August the 25th, 2010, Rizi was found shot in the back after the police broke up an enormous fight near 64th Street and South King Drive. Rizi was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Now, there's been a lot of speculation over who committed this crime, but nothing conclusive has ever been proven. But regardless, only a month later, another brutal slaying went down that appeared to be related. This time with an STL EBT member's relative being taken out on their turf. Apparently in this case, a blood relative of STL member FBG Kells, the retaliatory victim was Jeremy Marshall, also known on the street as Lil 4. Not to be confused with a different Lil 4 who died in 2013. Jeremy was approached near 63rd and Rhodes Avenue by 2 people, with one pulling out a gun and beginning to shoot. He was shot in the back and tried to run before collapsing, but unfortunately didn't make it, and the shooters fled the scene in a vehicle. Once again, it was unclear exactly who committed this crime, but intense speculation has suggested that it was somebody from the Wick City BDs, with many going as far to draw a link between the fact that OD Perry from Wick City was gaining a reputation for being a shooter around this time.
Dang.
Now, this can't strictly be proven, but it's likely that there were retaliations between Wick City and STL EBT in the months that followed. And this would lead us to January 2011, where we're introduced to an all too familiar name in Chicago drill, Tuca. On the 12th of January 2011, 15-year-old Shondale Gregory, known on the streets as Tuca, was waiting at a bus stop at the 600 block on East 63rd Street. At a certain point, a dark-coloured vehicle pops up and somebody hops out wearing a half mask. Some have said that this person exchanged a few words with Tuca, but ultimately within seconds, they had shot Tuca multiple times and fled the scene. STL member FBG Duck was actually close friends with Tuca, saying,
I heard some stuff saying that a car pulled up. And then he got the gang banging on him. You know what I'm saying? They little shit. You know what I'm saying? Then the exchange happened, and then the fire started happening. That's the little story I heard, bro.
that after hearing about his
I don't know, compare that to what y'all heard, then let me know down in the comment section.
Death, he actually ran to the scene of the crime, where in a tragic moment he even got to see his slain brother before he was taken away.
Me and him clicked, like that was one of my real close friends. Like every day, like spend the night at his house, he spent the night at mine. And my cousin came in there running to me crying and shit, talking about, your friend just got killed. You feel me? Then I ran all the way from 62nd and Wabash all the way to 63rd and St. Lawrence.
Damn.
Saved them right there on the floor. You know how that shit go, broke right down.
Tuca had unfortunately passed away on the scene before paramedics had arrived, and it's not entirely clear who was responsible for the death of Tuca. As previously discussed, TYMB members were hell-bent on avenging their friend Ty by taking out an STL EBT member. Meanwhile, Wick City members wanted revenge for what had happened to Rizi. But regardless, ultimately Tuca paid his price for his STL EBT affiliation. In response to this tragic loss, STL EBT would rename their hood Tookaville in his honor and as a commitment for revenge. And members like FBG Brick would rep Tuca's memory to the fullest.
Do you represent Tookaville?
Oh, to the fullest. That's what I do it for. That's what it's always been about since day one. Just took it. Like, my homie was 15 years old when he got killed. Never hurt nobody, never did nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, it's actually been said that it was in response to this that members from TYMB and Wick City clicked up to form an alliance in anticipation of some kind of retaliation. And in the face of an intense desire from Tookaville to avenge their fallen brother, soon emerged an intense desire to disrespect Tuca from the BD side. As you may well know, Tuca's name has been endlessly dragged in hip-hop over the years.
I want to know.
I'm not going to get into every instance or drop.
I want to know how many times in lyrics has that man's name been like mentioned. Honestly, hey, in lyrics, I feel like Rap Genius should give us this stat because, bruh, the amount of times. Chief Keef done it 1,000 times by itself. Then we got, you know what I'm saying, Dirt, and then, you know, so forth and so forth. Bruh.
Drama over this happening. But story goes, initially, the GDs from Tookaville, people like FBG Duck, were apparently saying that they were smoking Tuca out of respect for him, a nod to the old story that Tupac's crew, the Outlaws, smoked his ashes in a blunt after he died. But the BD ops from Wick City immediately...
What the fuck? No disrespect, but that shit might really be nasty. Ashes is nasty. Like, what?
Immediately decided to flip this and start making fun of Tookaville. The most immediate and iconic diss, of course, was Chief Keef's song 300, where he says "fuck Tuca gang." And from here, other members continued the disrespect.
Tuca, what I'm smoking on, shut down. Oh my bitch, do I see you, bro? Right up on your block, bitch.
But beyond simple shit talking on social media, behind the scenes, a demon was lurking in the shadows. Because as we mentioned briefly earlier, one of Tuca's closest friends growing up was a young girl named K.I. But you might know her better as the young girl who became a teenage assassin, supposedly racking up 17 bodies by 17.
Bruh,
Story goes,
she was
the
on
death of
everybody's
Tuca that
radar.
actually turned K.I. into a cold-blooded killer.
Bruh, she was on everybody's radar. It was like female assassin. Like she was out paid getting the hit, like doing hits, like that's how they painted it. I don't know if she was just strictly on gang shit and, you know, yeah, or she was really out here getting paid to do hits, like.
Apparently coached in shooting by her cousin, fellow Tookaville GD Boss Trell, and maneuvering in the streets by her older brother Seaball, a bloodthirsty teenage KI would soon become a bona fide hitter for the Tookaville GDs. Hellbent on getting revenge for Tuca, KI would eventually find it in the form of OD. At around...
Is this confirmed? Like, you know what I'm saying?
11:35 p.m. on August the 10th, 2011, 20-year-old O.D. Perry, respected Wick City member, was shot and killed near Parkway Gardens on 400 block of East 64th Street. O.D. suffered multiple gunshot wounds, including one to the neck, and was pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital within an hour of the shooting. Just like Tuca, in his memory, the Wick City B-Deems renamed Parkway Gardens O-Block, in his memory, committing to avenge him. Of course, the likes of Chief Keef and King Von immortalized O-Block, as it is now known today, in their music forever. The killing of O.D. Perry was supposedly revenge for the killing of Tuca, with this apparently being exemplified by the fact that it went down on Tuca's very birthday. O.D.'s killers were never apprehended, but
like a day off.
from here, rumours begun to swirl that this was actually the first victim of teenage Tookaville assassin K.I. And one of the people pushing these rumours was, of course, Lil J, who had apparently shared the following image along with a caption saying, "Shout out to them twins that made O-Block," referring to FBG Butter and K.I. However, for the record, no one has been convicted of this crime and there was never any proof tying K.I. or Butter to the killing of O.D. Perry. Well, actually, many years later, a Freedom of Information request did reveal that the cops did officially name K.I. and Boss Trell as subjects on the report. This came after an unnamed informant named them as the shooters in 2016, years after they had passed. But let's just assume...
Who the unnamed informant? They both passed, like, you know what I'm saying? They shouldn't even be mentioning shit like this. What the fuck? And you know, I was about to say some wild flagrant shit. No, I'm gonna still say it. I ain't gonna say I get it, but I can wrap my head around it more than you snitching on two dead folks. You should better off telling on some motherfuckers that's live. You know what I'm saying? I can wrap my head around it. I don't get it. Like, but I can, okay, snitch ass. You know what I'm saying? But shit weird. That shit was weird as fuck. That's probably the weirdest shit I didn't heard in ages.
For one
How you gonna
second,
tell them, you know what I'm saying? Like, what?
based on the reputation that KI has when she passed, that a 14-year-old girl from Tookaville really did go out on her first trip to the op block and claim the life of a respected Wick City older. It kind of makes sense with the narrative. People from Tookaville couldn't believe she'd done this at such a young age. Combine that with the fact that KI was supposedly heartbroken over Tuca's death and was desperate to avenge him. The fact that she had done so at such a young age, getting her the respect of the entire gang, leads me to believe that it's absolutely no surprise that from this point she would go on to build a feared reputation as a complete demon of a shooter for Tookaville, quickly becoming a feared figure in the entire Chicago gang scene. And the suspicion that she was indeed involved in the OD Perry incident were only fueled further by tweets that she would release dissing OD, not dissimilar to the way that the guys over on O Block had spoken about Tuca in the past. In fact, there's one detail from this story that is so crazy it's like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. It's actually rumored that there was a huge 357 or 44 Magnum that OD Perry was known for flexing. Story goes,
that motherfucker about big as hell.
He had this on him when he was taken out, with KI apparently taking the gun away from his body after the hit. A rumor based on the fact that she seemed to flex a near identical gun in the years that followed, seemingly as a trophy on social media. Whether or not this is exactly how this situation went down, we'll probably never know for sure. But at least just for her alleged involvement in the
I need to give me a revolver.
O-Block, KI got a big reputation.
I want one of them 500 one of them 500 Smith & Wessons. One of them big motherfuckers. Or snub. But you know what I'm saying? That's to have that motherfucker as like a piece, like a collector piece, like nothing official. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
To make moves in numerous beefs that stretch far beyond
that motherfucker. You shoot that motherfucker, like that motherfucker echo the whole area you at.
O-Block. In some ways, she's got addicted to shooting and killing, but a lot of her story isn't really relevant to this feud, so some of those details are definitely for another day. But what we do know for sure is that what followed the killing of OD Perry was a bloodbath of tit-for-tat violence between O-Block and Tookaville that would last nearly 2 years. On the 19th of October 2011, Edward Riley, also known as Platoon, from O Block was walking with his girlfriend on 63rd and King Drive, at which point 2 suspects approached and gunned him down, only 1 block south on 64th, closer to O Block. And from here, the suspects went even further down the block, shooting a 15-year-old in the head who miraculously survived. Platoon unfortunately wasn't so lucky and didn't make it, and in his memory, at least for a brief period, people began to call the area Toontown, though ultimately the name O Block was retained. Once again, there's been intense speculation over exactly what went down or who was responsible for the hit on Platoon, as apparently in addition to Tookaville, a GD set called MOB also had a motive to take out Platoon as part of a different feud that he was involved in via 600, who were also BDs affiliated with O Block. It's actually been suggested that there were 2 assailants there that day, with one being Lil B from Tookaville and the other allegedly being Beans from MOB. It's also been said by many that Wooski from Tookaville was involved in this. And I'll be honest, when I started this video, I said to myself, I don't want to be accusing people of killings that they haven't been convicted for, especially if they're still alive. But hell, I googled who killed Platoon, and even Google featured snippets of snitching on Wooski. I couldn't believe that. Many people over on Chiracology on Reddit have suggested in the past that Wooski had something to do with this, with others writing it off as complete internet cap, mainly due to his young age at the time. All we know is that right now no one has been convicted of the slaying of Platoon, and the really sad thing is that after the loss of such a beloved O Block member, it wouldn't take them long to lose yet another.
Chiroid
At 6:47 p.m. on February the 12th, 2012, Chiroid Liggins of O Block was discovered with a gunshot wound to the head at 6400 block of South King Drive, just outside Parkway Gardens once again. You're starting to see why they call it the most dangerous block in America now, right? Chiroid remained in hospital fighting for his life for around 4 days, until February the 20th, when he was unfortunately pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital. No one was ever caught for this crime. However, KI has suggested pretty heavily on Twitter that Boss Trell from Tookaville was the one responsible, with some of the internet detectives over on Chiracology digging deeper into these tweets and suggesting that when this shooting went down, Boss Trell had actually shot Chiroid from all the way across the street. Impeccable aim, apparently the result of his use of a gun with a red laser beam sight on it to improve his accuracy. That gun itself apparently even featured in the Lil J FBG Duck music video for the song Critical, a Chief Keef diss that actually dropped.
How they know that's him though?
Combine this with the fact that Boss Trell himself seemed to be bragging about the incident on Twitter later in the year, with KI also tweeting references to that red beam. A frankly brazen attack, which naturally only beget more bloodshed between O Block and Tookaville in the months that followed. On the 28th of April, 2012, around 9:30 p.m, Marlon Monroe, also known as Lil Doc from Tookaville, had left a painting job and was walking towards a convenience store of the 6300 block of St. Lawrence Avenue, at which point a gunman passed by and sprayed the scene with bullets. Marlon
Damn, my nigga was earning an honest living. You know, that shit really fucked up, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Cause one nigga from St. Lawrence, what was his name? I can't even remember at the moment. But apparently, you know what I'm saying, this nigga went out and got a job, bro. Like, this nigga had a legit job. It was like the short nigga with the afro shit. That nigga went out and got a job type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like in order for niggas like these niggas, in order for these niggas to really get that success or really attain that natural, normal living, they really gotta leave Chicago and not go to Gary or any place that's an hour away. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gotta leave Chicago and go to like Texas. Leave Chicago and go to like Arkansas, you know, Kentucky, Ohio. You know, some of them niggas is able to travel there as of, that the niggas don't want to get them. But it's like, all right, that's too far of a manhunt type shit. And on top of that, bro, you gonna change. You gotta do it, bro. You gotta change all the way. You gotta get away from that shit. And I feel like some of them niggas, bro, some of the street niggas, bro, like a nigga like 051 Melly, I feel like he couldn't have did that. Move all the way to whatever and just get a normal life. Work at a warehouse or something. Like some of them street niggas, or some of these niggas are more popular than some of these rappers. You know what I'm saying? So a nigga like Melly, he couldn't go out and get a regular job. Same with the same nigga, you know what I'm saying? They could and they couldn't, like, you know what I'm saying? Cause it's these Chiroid drill fans are everywhere. They live in California, DC, nigga, New Mexico, Arizona. Like, they live everywhere. So it's like, you know, and they be on bullshit too. Like, you don't know what some of these motherfuckers bullshit they gonna be on. You know, they might take a picture with you and send it to the, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he works here. You know, just on some, you know, yeah.
Apparently stumbled away from the scenes injured and collapsed into a tall patch of weeds in an empty lot next to the store. Even more shocking than that is the fact that when the police later came to the scene, they didn't even find Marlon's body, collecting up the shells and evidence and then leaving, with a 16-year-old boy actually discovering Marlon hours later in the weeds with a gunshot wound to his chest. Marlon had apparently been left there for over an hour after being shot, and within an hour of being discovered, he was pronounced dead at Stroke Hospital. Once again, it's unclear exactly who was responsible for this crime, but the next high-profile shooting between O-Block and Tookaville features a very familiar face indeed. On October the 13th, 2012, a 17-year-old boy named Modell McCambry was walking along the street with his cousin on the way to meet a girl. This went down on the 6300 block of South Rhodes Avenue. At around 9:30 p.m, somebody walked up and opened fire, hitting Modell in the chest. He too later died in Stroger Hospital. And what makes this story and the previous one so much more tragic is apparently Modell and Doc were actually related with a shared grandmother, who had apparently received the news of both of their deaths within months. But who was responsible, you ask? Well, many have suggested that it was actually O-Block future rap superstar King Von, mainly due to the fact that he himself had made numerous tweets to Tookaville Op Wooski, where Von seems to hint at him or at least his crew being responsible for Modell's death. In fact, Von was actually rumoured to have been present for numerous shootings carried out by the O-Block during this period of time, which naturally built him up a feared reputation as a member who was always down to do some dirt. He himself even famously bragged in his songs to have a total of 7 bodies under his belt. But regardless of how true that is, from here the O-Block shooters continued getting busy, attempting time and time again to claim bodies from Tookaville. On October the 30th, 2012, a man named Derek Johnson, also known on the streets as P5 or Crack, was gunned down. Now, he wasn't actually Tookaville, but a member of Jarrow City, a Chicago gang set north of Tookaville with a long history dating to back before this feud even began. But apparently, P5 was out walking on Tookaville turf, specifically the 6200 block of South Eberhart Avenue, where apparently J Money, King Von, and Big A of O-Block were lurking in the area looking for Tookaville ops to attack. In fact, only a day before this incident went down, King Von himself had tweeted that he was out trying to catch more bodies so that he could catch up with fellow O-Block shooter Chiroid. So story...
What the fuck? I know that nigga ain't tweet that shit, bro. That nigga had a what the fuck? I ain't been hanging with Chiroid like that cause he been winning. I'm trying to catch up first. Give me to Friday. Oh my god, what the fuck, bro?
Shooter Chiroid. So story goes...
And see, look, Alright, I ain't even gonna talk about this shit, bro.
O Block shooters were out lurking. They spotted P5 around 9:13 in the morning, opening fire and hitting him multiple times. Some have even gone as far as to suggest that he was actually hit 6 times in the head and 9 times in the body. P5 was taken to Stroger Hospital, but once again pronounced dead within the hour. And from here, the wanton violence between O Block and Tookaville was far from over, as the O Block side would continue to seek retribution for the attacks that had been done on them, and so soon after the P5 incident, O Block would appear to claim a high-profile member of Tookaville. 17-year-old Rodney Stewart, aka Boss Trell, aka the red beam slinging marksman who'd allegedly killed Chiroid from way across the street for Tookaville, was apparently planning to flee town, tweeting about being excited for a fresh start on the 6th of November, even purchasing a bus ticket with the intention of leaving town on the 10th. But unfortunately, only 2 days before his scheduled departure, on the 8th of November, Boss Trell was found face down in an alley in the 2600 block of West 83rd Street.
Damn!
He'd been shot in the back of the head. Now, in case you couldn't tell, the location of this shooting is a long way from O Block and Tookaville, and it's actually been suggested by some that J Money and T-Roy were actually responsible for coordinating a setup of Boss Trell via an allegedly disloyal ex-girlfriend, apparently luring him well away from Tookaville with the promise of meeting a girl, but when he arrived, BT was shot in the head and left for dead. His grandmother said the identity of the shooter is not a secret, but no witnesses were willing to step up. He didn't actually pass away immediately and apparently was left fighting for his life brain dead in the hospital for several days. This was followed by T-Roy of O Block, who is widely believed to have been responsible for this incident, mockingly tweeting on the 8th of November, "No, Trell, stay alive." Meanwhile, Tookaville affiliates like FBG Cash were paying their respects to Boss Trell, but ultimately he passed away later that day. The death of Boss Trell is said to have had a huge effect on remaining Tookaville members, especially KI. After his death, Cash Out made a song in tribute called Dear Boss Trell, which seemed to hint that his past as a red beam slinging shooter was legit, even going as far as to dub him the real-life Max Payne. Meanwhile, of course, over on O Block, they were celebrating for having gotten retribution for their fallen brother Chiroid, but Boss Trell was of course a devastating loss for Tookaville, and he would soon be avenged in spectacular fashion. As on September the 2nd, 2013, Jerome Wood, also known as J Money, from O Block was allegedly set up, ironically in a way not dissimilar to how Boss Trell had been set up, with J Money apparently visiting a location on the 6600 block of South Rhodes Avenue around 2 PM. Allegedly set up by a girl on the ops turf, legend has it that J Money was expecting to see a woman he knew, but arrived to the location to be greeted by Lil B and KI from Tookaville. He apparently attempted to flee down a gangway into an adjacent property, but he was unfortunately shot in the head, collapsing outdoors and not making it. Tweets from other gang members have suggested that this incident was direct
Lil B said, give P5 the best birthday gift that I could ever had. 906 for my big bro P5 crack. Damn.
retaliation for P5, as well as Boss Trell, and KI actually tweeted after this incident about shooting people in the back of the head, tweets which many people thought
shoot a nigga from point blank range in the back of, okay. And use his heads, okay.
What suggested direct involvement by KI, referring to this exact incident. Funnily enough, within only a year, the other Tookaville member Lil B, who had supposedly been there that day for the J Money hit, was killed by the Chicago PD on March the 28th, 2014. With this going down after apparently being chased by cops who had seen a suspected drug deal, with the cops claiming that he hopped over a fence and then pointed a pistol at them, leading them to tase Lil B and shoot him multiple times, leaving him dead. After Lil B's passing, Platoon's cousin actually came out to say they found the guys who killed his little cousin. One was charged with an unrelated murder, referring to that other MOB member who was allegedly involved, and the other was killed by the cops, referring to Lil B, with many taking this as confirmation that it was indeed Lil B who was involved in the Platoon hit. From here, Tookaville and O Block would continue to wage war back and forth in the years that followed. However, the dynamics would change going forward. Obviously, as you may already know, King Von was taken off the streets for around 3.5 years after being picked up for the murder of another Tookaville affiliate, Malcolm Stuckey, a murder rap which he later beat and I have covered extensively on the channel. Meanwhile, whilst this story was going on, KI, after the death of another young friend of hers, Taekwon, would form Taekwon World, another outlet for her bloodthirsty desire for revenge.
Now I need to get into that Vaughn video, bruh. Cause I heard somebody snitched on him, but he still like beat the case, and I want to know like how, you know.
KI getting into numerous street feuds well beyond O-Block, fighting ops from numerous different parts of the city, with her past eventually catching up to her. But most notably, the beloved hitter of O-Block, Chiroid, would eventually be slain, leaving the remaining members of O-Block to form a Get Back Gang in order to get revenge. Get Back Gang were a ruthless squad of O-Block shooters, hellbent on getting revenge on Tookaville and other groups that had a role in their star hitter Chiroid being taken from them. If you want to see me cover these stories in the later generations of this beef in a future video, leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like me to cover. But for now, I just hope that you've enjoyed that video and learned a lot from today's analysis of the origins of the O-Block and Tookaville beef. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so that you see every single time that I upload. If you found it useful, make sure that you give this video a like too. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
Bruh. Thanks for the patrons. I've been wanting to start a Patreon too. Hey, bro. So it's like, bro, this is a lot to digest. He didn't really get to any. I mean, all of it after a certain point in time. Like, this really could have been like a 3-hour video if he would have talked about after Vaughn got out of jail and shit like that. But this is very good insight. Like, I learned some new shit today, man. You know, like, I didn't know who the hell Platoon was. You know, and some of the guys he named in here, I honestly did not know. Modell, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know who that was. Now, a lot of this shit they say is confirmed, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. A lot of this shit is alleged. Hearsay ain't concrete. In all actuality, like, until we get like a one of them tell-alls from like a O-Block and such and such member, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's high key. That shit high key, all the way snitching, by the way. But you know, one of them, this is it. So it's like, you know, I'm already knowing that they can't, you know, splat out and say he did this, he did that, he did that. Woo woo woo. We caught him there. Because a lot of motherfuckers will be in jail. They'll be in jail. A lot of motherfuckers are still alive will be in jail. You know. That's why they say the streets talk, you know. And as we go on with the times, the internet is part of the streets now. They talking, you know. So yeah, to that shit. But like I said, I like watching these, man. I like learning shit. You know, I'm learning new shit here and there. You know, these videos are breath of fresh airs from, you know, the regular music videos. I had the NBA YoungBoy video I was supposed to drop, but I feel like it's a little too late to drop it. But I got this other video I have planned to drop not tomorrow, but Thursday. So yeah, it's your boy Snoring. I'm gone.